The New York Times has just been handed the Pulitzer Prize for its Gaza reporting. This is the same New York Times that publishes headlines like this that completely obscure who is doing the killing or describe hundreds of thousands of people fleeing a genocide as merely on the move. And it's the same paper that changed its headline twice in order to shield Israel from accountability. The first change removes the fact that Israel was the perpetrator of the hospital attack, and the second removes the fact that it was an airstrike at all. At least 500 dead in Gaza hospital blast is a headline for when there's been a gas leak, not a major war crime. It's no coincidence that the Times consistently covers the news in a way that demonizes Palestinians and shields Israel from blame. A leaked company memo from November reveals that management explicitly instructed its reporters not to use words like genocide, ethnic cleansing, or slaughter when referring to events. And in fact, the Times staff are not even allowed to use words like refugee camp, occupied territory, or even Palestine in their reporting. All of this is done to fundamentally erase the reality of what is happening in Gaza and to make it impossible for Times reporters to report accurately on the situation. The Times does use emotive language like slaughter and massacre in its reference to the conflict, but only when Israelis are killed. A study of the paper's coverage showed that Israeli deaths were 22 times as likely to be described as such, despite the overwhelming disparity in deaths towards Palestinians. Thus, Israelis are heinously slaughtered while Palestinians simply die. The New York Times is far from a neutral actor when it comes to Israel-Palestine, of course. Many of their key Middle East reporters have had family members serving in the Israeli Defense Forces, a huge and undisclosed conflict of interest. The Times also purchased a Jerusalem property for its bureau tree that was stolen from a prominent Palestinian family, meaning that it is an active participant in the displacement of Palestinians from their homes. And now their discredited Screams Without Words expose, which claimed that Hamas fighters systematically sexually violated Israelis, was written by a reporter with zero journalistic experience who also happened to be an ex-Israeli Air Force intelligence officer, not to mention her favoriting of genocidal tweets calling on Israel to turn Gaza into a slaughterhouse. Times staff themselves revolted over the complete lack of evidence and fact-checking in the piece. Considering their dismal journalistic record on Gaza then, the New York Times is arguably the last outlet deserving of a journalism award for its Middle East coverage. The Pulitzers should be ashamed of themselves for giving out this award. They could learn a lot from a group like Project Censored that promotes critical media literacy and critical thinking skills, and who, every year, curates a list of the top 25 most important stories mainstream corporate news sources failed or refused to cover. For more on that, check out projectcensored.org. For Behind the Headlines, I'm Alan MacLeod.